Jinwoo Kang stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. At 42, he commanded one of the most powerful organizations in the city's underworld. Politicians sought his favor, rivals feared his name, business empires crumbled or flourished based on his decisions. He had everything a man could want: money, power, influence, respect earned through blood and strategy. Yet tonight, like so many nights before, he felt the hollow ache of something missing. Someone missing. His phone buzzed with urgent messages. A shipment delayed. A territorial dispute requiring his attention. A meeting with city officials who pretended not to know what he really did. Jinwoo ignored all of it. Instead, he reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a photograph. Faded, creased from being handled too many times over too many years. A woman smiled back at him, black, beautiful, radiant in a way that had nothing to do with makeup or expensive clothes. Just pure joy captured in a single moment. Amara. Her name was a whispered prayer he'd repeated countless times in the darkness. 12 years. 12 years since he'd last seen her. 12 years of searching, of hiring investigators who found nothing, of wondering if she'd ever been real or just a dream his younger self had conjured during the hardest period of his life. "Sir?" His assistant knocked. "The meeting?" "Cancel it," Jinwoo said without turning. "Everything. I need tonight." The assistant left without question. No one questioned Jinwoo Kang. Not anymore. He stared at the photograph, at the woman who'd owned his heart before he'd even known what power meant, and wondered for the 1,000th time where she was. If she ever thought of him. If she remembered their love at all. 12 years ago, Jinwoo had been nobody. 28 years old and struggling to survive in a world that chewed up dreamers and spit out broken men. He'd worked 3 jobs: security guard at night, translator during the day, whatever odd work he could find in between. His family had disowned him for refusing to follow his father into the organization. "You want to be weak? Poor? Nobody?" his father had sneered. "Then do it alone." So Jinwoo had. Lived in a tiny apartment with peeling paint and a radiator that only worked when it felt like it. Ate instant noodles more often than real food. Dreamed of something better, but had no clear path to get there. He'd been working security at a hotel, the kind that catered to business travelers and short-term residents, when he first saw her. Amara. She'd been staying there temporarily while apartment hunting. New to Seoul, new to Korea. Working as an English teacher at a private academy. He'd noticed her immediately. Not just because she stood out, a black woman in a city that was still learning to be diverse, but because of how she carried herself. Confident without arrogance. Kind to everyone from the hotel manager to the cleaning staff. Genuinely curious about the city, the culture, the language. One evening, he'd helped her with directions. She'd thanked him in broken Korean, laughing at her own pronunciation. He'd responded in English. Her eyes had lit up. "You speak English, thank God. I've been trying to ask about good restaurants for 20 minutes, and I think I accidentally asked where to buy socks instead." Jinwoo had laughed, really laughed. "For the first time in months. I know a place. If you'd like, I could show you." "I'd love that." And just like that, everything changed. Their first real conversation happened at a small restaurant Jinwoo knew served the best bibimbap in the neighborhood. Amara had been delighted by everything: the food, the banchan, the way the hot stone bowl kept sizzling. "This is incredible," she'd said, mixing everything together with genuine enthusiasm. "Why didn't anyone tell me Korean food was this good? Most people only know about Korean barbecue." Well, they're missing out. They'd talked for hours about her life in Atlanta, about teaching, about why she'd chosen Korea. "I wanted adventure," she'd said simply. "Wanted to see a part of the world I'd never experienced. Wanted to challenge myself. And it's harder than I thought, but also better. I feel alive here, like I'm actually living instead of just existing." Jinwoo had understood that completely. "What about you?" she'd asked. "What's your story?" He'd hesitated, then told her the truth. About his family, the organization, his choice to walk away, the struggle to survive on his own terms. "That's brave," Amara had said. "That's stupid, according to my father." "Your father's wrong. Choosing your own path takes more courage than following someone else's." No one had ever said that to him before. No one had ever made his choice sound like strength instead of weakness. Thank you, he'd said quietly. For what? For seeing it differently. She'd smiled, that smile that would haunt him for 12 years. I see a lot of things differently. Comes with being the outsider wherever I go, but it's a gift, really. Lets you see what others miss. What do you see in me? Someone fighting for something real. Someone who'd rather struggle with integrity than succeed without it. That's rare. Jinwoo had fallen for her in that moment. Completely, irrevocably, and dangerously, though he didn't know it yet. The next 3 months were the happiest of Jinwoo's life. He and Amara spent every free moment together. He showed her Seoul, not the tourist version, but the real city. Hidden markets, late-night food stalls, quiet temples. Places locals loved, but guidebooks rarely mentioned. She taught him to see his own culture through fresh eyes. Everything here has intention, she'd observe. The way tea is served, the way people bow, even the way buildings are arranged. There's thought behind it, respect for tradition and meaning. You see that? Of course, it's beautiful. They'd walk for hours, talk about everything, philosophy, music, dreams, fears, what they wanted from life. I want to build something good. Jinwoo had confided one night. Something that helps people instead of hurts them. I don't know what yet, but something meaningful. You will, Amara had said with such certainty. You have that quality, that determination. You'll figure it out and you'll make it happen. What about you? I want to matter. Want to make a difference in people's lives, even if it's small, even if it's just helping a few students find their voice or see the world bigger than they thought possible. They'd fallen into a relationship without even discussing it, just naturally gravitated toward each other, became essential to each other's daily existence. Jinwoo would finish his night shift and find her waiting with coffee. Amara would struggle with a difficult student, and Jinwoo would help her process it. They'd cook together in his tiny apartment, watch terrible movies, fall asleep tangled together on his worn couch. This is real, Amara had whispered one night. What we have, this is real, right? The most real thing I've ever felt. Good, because I'm falling in love with you, Jinwoo Kang, and that's terrifying and wonderful at the same time. I'm already there, have been for weeks. Then we're in this together. Together, he'd agreed, not knowing how short their together would be. The goodbye came without warning. One morning, Amara received a call that changed everything. Her mother was sick, cancer, advanced. She needed to go home immediately. I have to go back to Atlanta, she told Jinwoo, tears streaming down her face. She's dying. I don't know how long, but I have to be there. I understand. I'll come back. After, when things settle, I'll come back. Don't promise that. Be with your mother. That's what matters. But us, we'll figure it out. Long distance, video calls, whatever it takes. I'm not losing you. She'd held him so tight. I love you. I need you to know that. Whatever happens, I loved you completely. Loved? Present tense, Amara. You love me, because this isn't ending. You're right. I love you. Present tense. Always. She'd left 3 days later. Jinwoo had taken her to the airport, held her until the last possible moment. I'll call you the minute I land. I'll be waiting. Jinwoo? Yeah? Thank you for seeing me, for loving me, for making Seoul feel like home. It is home whenever you're ready to come back. She'd kissed him, walked through security, turned back one last time, waved, and disappeared. That was the last time Jinwoo saw Amara. She'd called from Atlanta. Her mother was worse than expected. Weeks, maybe days. She'd call again soon. Then nothing. Her phone disconnected. Her email bounced. Her social media went dark. Jinwoo tried everything. Called the academy where she'd worked. They said she'd resigned. Called the hotel. She'd checked out. Tried to contact her in Atlanta. No listings, no addresses, nothing. She'd vanished. Completely. Like she'd never existed. And Jinwoo was left with questions that had no answers and a love that had nowhere to go. In the months after Amara disappeared, Jinwoo fell apart, stopped eating properly, stopped sleeping, became obsessed with finding her, spent money he didn't have hiring investigators who found nothing. His job suffered, his health deteriorated, his savings evaporated. You need to let this go, his roommate told him. She's gone. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe her life back home took over. Maybe she met someone else. You have to move on. You don't understand. I understand you're destroying yourself over someone who clearly doesn't want to be found. Something happened, something that made her cut contact. I need to know what. Why? What difference does it make? Because I promised. I told her we'd figure it out, that I wouldn't lose her. I need to keep that promise. You can't keep a promise to someone who disappeared. But Jinwoo tried anyway, for 6 more months, until his money ran out, until he had nothing left. That's when his father appeared. I heard you've been looking for someone, a woman. That's none of your business. Everything about you is my business. You're my son, my heir, even if you're too stupid to embrace it. I don't want your world. Your world is sleeping in hovels and chasing ghosts. Mine offers power, resources, the ability to find anyone, anywhere. Jinwoo had looked at his father, really looked. You could help me find her? I could find her in 48 hours, but it'll cost you. What cost? You come back, join the organization, learn the business, become who you were always meant to be. And if I refuse, then you keep searching on your own, with nothing, finding nothing, until you die broke and alone, your choice. Jinwoo had made the deal, sold his soul to find the woman he loved. But by the time his father's people located any trail, it was cold. Amara had covered her tracks well. She disappeared intentionally, and she clearly didn't want to be found, not even by him. The years that followed transformed Jinwoo into someone he'd sworn he'd never become. He learned his father's business, the legitimate fronts and illegal operations, the violence and the strategy, the power that came from being feared. He was good at it, terrifyingly good, had a mind for strategy and a willingness to make hard decisions. Within 5 years, he'd become his father's right hand. Within 8, he'd taken over completely when his father retired. Within 10, he'd expanded the organization beyond anything his father had built. Legitimate businesses, political connections, international reach, but always that hollow ache, that missing piece. He dated. Women threw themselves at him, attracted to power, money, danger. He tried to feel something, anything. Nothing came close to what he'd felt with Amara. You need to settle down, his advisors told him. Marriage strengthens position, creates alliances, shows stability. I'm not interested. You're 42. You need an heir, a family, a legacy. My legacy is the empire I built. That's enough. But it wasn't. Money couldn't fill the void. Power couldn't erase the memory. Success couldn't answer the question that haunted him. Why did she leave? He'd never stopped looking, even as he built his empire, even as he became someone completely different from the struggling translator she'd loved. He kept investigators on retainer, followed every lead, checked every Amara in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the entire United States. Found hundreds of women with that name. None of them her. It was like she'd vanished from existence, or changed her identity so completely that she was unfindable. Tonight, staring at that faded photograph, Jinwoo felt the familiar ache. 12 years. And he still loved her. Still wondered. Still hoped that somehow, somewhere, fate would bring her back. He had no idea that fate was already working, that tomorrow would change everything. That the woman he'd never stopped loving was closer than he'd ever imagined. Despite everything Jinwoo had, the penthouse overlooking Seoul's skyline, the fleet of luxury cars, the private jet, the empire worth billions, he felt empty. His apartment was immaculate but cold, expensive art on walls he barely looked at, designer furniture no one sat on, everything perfect and nothing warm. He'd built exactly what his father had built. Power and isolation. You should throw a party, his assistant suggested. Network, socialize. You have the space. I prefer privacy. Sir, people are starting to talk. They say you're too isolated, too cold. It affects business relationships. Let them talk. At least consider the charity gala next month. It's important for appearances. Jinwoo sighed. Fine, one event, then leave me alone about socializing. He attended business meetings but felt disconnected. Closed deals worth millions but felt nothing. Stood in rooms full of people and felt utterly alone, because none of them knew him. The real him. The man who'd struggled, who'd chosen integrity over easy power, who'd loved a woman so completely that 12 years later he still couldn't move on. That man had died when Amara disappeared. What remained was a shell. Successful, powerful, empty. His few close associates noticed. You need a purpose beyond accumulation, his oldest friend said. You've built an empire. Now what? Now I maintain it. That's not a life. That's treading water. What else is there? Connection, meaning, something that matters beyond profit margins and territory control. I had that once. It didn't last. So you gave up? Just decided nothing would ever matter again? I decided some things only happen once, and when they're gone, they're gone. That's depressing as hell. That's reality. But even as he said it, Jinwoo didn't fully believe it. Some part of him, the part that kept Amara's photograph in his desk, that still checked investigation reports, that hadn't thrown away the single piece of her clothing she'd left in his apartment 12 years ago, that part still hoped, still waited. For what, he didn't know. A miracle, maybe. A second chance. An explanation that would make the disappearance make sense. Anything. He just didn't know that in 24 hours, everything would change. Across the city, in a modest apartment in a middle-class neighborhood, Amara stood at her window watching the same Seoul skyline Jinwoo observed from his penthouse. She'd returned to Korea 6 months ago, not to Seoul originally, but to Busan, working as an educational consultant for international schools. The work had been good, quiet, safe, but a promotion had brought her back to the city where everything had changed 12 years ago. She'd tried to avoid it, tried to stay in Busan, but the opportunity was too good. Director of International Programs. Better pay, better title, better future. And Seoul was a big city. The chances of running into Jinwoo were virtually zero. She'd checked before accepting, researched him carefully, found out what he'd become. Her struggling translator had transformed into Jinwoo Kang, one of Seoul's most powerful and feared figures. Mafia boss, criminal empire, exactly what he'd walked away from when she knew him. The discovery had broken her heart all over again. He went back, she'd whispered, staring at articles about his organization. After everything, after choosing differently, he went back. She understood why. Her disappearance had destroyed him. Her investigation, done carefully, anonymously, years later, had revealed his desperate search. The money spent, the investigators hired, the deals made, including the deal with his father. He'd sold his soul trying to find her, and she'd hidden so carefully he never could, because she'd had to, because staying in contact would have destroyed them both, because some secrets were too dangerous to share. Amara touched her stomach unconsciously, remembering. 12 years ago, the real reason she'd disappeared, the truth she'd never told him, the secret she'd protected all these years. He can never know, she told herself. It's safer this way, better this way. But fate had different plans. Tomorrow, everything would change. The encounter happened at a charity gala Jinwoo's assistant had insisted he attend. High-profile event, international education initiative, important connections. He'd gone reluctantly, planning to stay an hour, write a check, and leave. The venue was elegant, well-organized. He recognized several business associates, made polite conversation, donated generously to avoid speeches, prepared to make his exit. That's when he saw her, across the room, speaking with a group of educators, professional clothes, hair different from how he remembered, older but somehow more beautiful. Amara. His heart stopped. Actually stopped. Then started racing so fast he thought he might collapse. "Sir, are you all right?" his bodyguard asked. Jinwoo couldn't speak, could only stare. It was impossible, a hallucination, a ghost. Wishful thinking made manifest. She turned slightly, profile now visible, the same slope of her nose, same curve of her mouth, same way she gestured when making a point. Real. She was real. I need. Jinwoo couldn't finish the sentence. 12 years of searching, of wondering, of grieving. And she was here, 50 feet away, laughing at something someone said, looking healthy and happy and alive, while he'd been dying inside for over a decade. Anger and relief and joy and confusion crashed over him simultaneously. He started walking toward her, not thinking, just moving, pulled by gravity or fate or 12 years of unanswered questions. His bodyguard followed, creating a wake through the crowd. People noticed, moved aside, whispered. The powerful Jinwoo Kang crossing the room with purpose. Amara was still talking. Hadn't noticed, hadn't seen him. He was 10 feet away when someone called his name. She turned. Their eyes met, and the world stopped. Complete recognition, shock, fear, something else Jinwoo couldn't identify. Amara. He said her name. First time in 12 years. It felt like prayer and curse simultaneously. She went pale. Jinwoo, and everything changed. For a moment, they just stared. 12 years collapsed into nothing. They were 28 and 30 again, in his tiny apartment, in that restaurant, at the airport, before everything fell apart. Then reality crashed back. I need to go. Amara said, voice shaking. Wait. Jinwoo grabbed her arm gently. Please, don't run. Not again. I'm not running. This isn't the right place. Then where? When? Give me something. Anything. 12 years, Amara. 12 years of nothing. People were staring, whispering, his grip on her arm too familiar, too desperate, too public. Let go, she said quietly. You're making a scene. He released her immediately. I'm sorry. I can't lose you again. You don't have me to lose. The words cut deeper than any knife. We need to talk, Jinwoo insisted. Privately, please. Amara looked at him, really looked, saw the expensive suit, the bodyguards, the power emanating from him like heat. This wasn't her Jinwoo, the struggling translator with kind eyes and gentle hands. This was Jinwoo Kang, the man she'd read about, the man who'd become everything he'd sworn he wouldn't. What happened to you? She whispered. You happened, or rather, you disappeared, and I made choices I thought would help me find you. You went back, to your father, to the organization. To find you. I would have done anything to find you. Well, you found me. Now what? Now you tell me why you vanished, why you cut all contact, why you let me think you were dead or didn't care or had just decided I wasn't worth a goodbye. It's complicated. I have time. 12 years worth. Amara glanced around. Too many people. Too much attention. Not here. Tomorrow. There's a cafe near Hangang Park. 2 p.m. If you still want answers, meet me there. I'll be there. Come alone. No bodyguards, no entourage. Just you, or I walk away forever. Alone, I promise. She nodded, started to leave, stopped. You look different. So do you. I'm sorry, for everything, for the pain, for disappearing, for all of it. Before he could respond, she was gone, slipped through the crowd and vanished. Again, but this time she'd given him something, a time, a place, a promise of answers. Jinwoo stood in the middle of the gala, heart racing, mind spinning, 12 years of questions about to be answered. He had no idea the truth would destroy and rebuild him simultaneously. Jinwoo didn't sleep, spent the entire night pacing, remembering, preparing questions, dreading answers. What could possibly justify 12 years of silence? What could make someone disappear so completely? His mind spun through possibilities. She'd gone back to someone in Atlanta. She'd realized she didn't love him enough. She'd been ashamed of him. Her family had forbidden it. She'd been in trouble. She'd been sick. Each possibility worse than the last. By morning, he was exhausted and wired simultaneously. His assistant noticed. Sir, you have 3 meetings this morning. Cancel them. All of them. Everything. Today is blocked. No exceptions. Is something wrong? Something is about to be right, or incredibly wrong. I'll know by this afternoon. He arrived at the cafe 30 minutes early, chose a corner table, ordered nothing, just waited. Watching the door, heart jumping every time it opened. 2 p.m. came. No Amara. 2:05. Still nothing. 2:10. Jinwoo felt panic rising. She wouldn't show, wouldn't actually go through with it, would disappear again. Then at 2:14 she walked in. Casual clothes, no makeup, hair in a simple ponytail, looking exactly like the woman he'd fallen in love with 12 years ago. She saw him, hesitated, almost turned around. Jinwoo stood. Please, don't leave. Amara closed her eyes, took a breath, walked over, sat down. I almost didn't come. I'm glad you did. Are you? You might not be. After. After what? After I tell you everything. After you understand why I left, why I couldn't contact you, why I've been back in Seoul for 6 months and didn't reach out. 6 months? I didn't think we'd run into each other. Seoul's a big city. Apparently not big enough. She ordered tea, hands shaking slightly. Jinwoo noticed. Are you afraid of me? I'm afraid of this conversation, of what it means, of what comes after. Just tell me the truth. That's all I want. The truth. The truth will change everything. Everything changed 12 years ago when you vanished. This can't be worse. Amara looked at him with such sadness. You'd be surprised. Then tell me, please. I've waited long enough. Amara stared into her tea, gathering courage, choosing words carefully. When I went back to Atlanta, my mother was dying. That part was true. But there was something else. Something I didn't know when I left Seoul. Something I discovered 2 days after I arrived home. Jinwoo waited, barely breathing. I was pregnant. The words fell like bombs. Jinwoo's world tilted. What? Pregnant. 8 weeks. We'd been so careful, but nothing's perfect. And when my mother was dying and I was grieving, and suddenly I was pregnant. Why didn't you tell me? His voice was barely a whisper. I was going to. That's why my mother's death hit me so hard. She was the only family I had, the only person who could help me, and she died before I could tell her, before I could figure out what to do. You had my child? I was pregnant with your child. Those are different things. The distinction hit him like a physical blow. What happened? I was alone, grieving, pregnant, terrified. I had no money, no family, no support. I called you that first week, tried to tell you, but I couldn't get the words out. And you sounded so hopeful, so certain we'd figure everything out. And I knew. Knew what? That telling you would ruin your life. You'd have felt obligated, would have tried to come to Atlanta or send money you didn't have or make promises you couldn't keep. And I couldn't do that to you. That wasn't your choice to make. It was my body, my pregnancy, my choice, and I chose to handle it alone. Handle it how? The question hung between them, loaded, dangerous. I had a miscarriage, week 12, natural, spontaneous. The doctor said these things happen, that sometimes bodies just aren't ready, that it wasn't my fault. She was crying now, quietly. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I know I should have told you, should have given you the choice to be involved, but I was young and scared and alone, and I made the best decision I could at the time. Jin-woo felt like he was drowning, a child, his child, lost before he even knew it existed. When? 12 years ago last month, and you carried this alone. Yes, for 12 years. Yes. Why didn't you reach out after? Why disappear completely? Because I was ashamed and broken, and I couldn't face telling you what happened, couldn't face your grief on top of mine. So I ran, changed my number, deleted social media, started over somewhere new, and tried to forget. Did it work? Did you forget? No, never. Not for a single day. They sat in silence, both crying, both processing loss that was 12 years old but felt fresh. Finally, Jin-woo spoke. That's not everything. There's more you're not telling me. Amara looked up, startled. How did you? I know you, even after 12 years. I know when you're holding something back. What else? She took a shaking breath. The miscarriage. It was traumatic. I was hospitalized for 3 days, and the doctors said what? That future pregnancies would be difficult, maybe impossible, that the damage was significant, that I might never be able to carry a child to term. Oh, Amara, so I didn't just lose your child. I lost the possibility of children, of family, of the future I'd imagined. And I couldn't tell you because what would be the point? You'd already lost so much. Why add my physical damage to it? Because I loved you. Because we could have processed it together. Because you didn't have to carry that pain alone. But I did. I had to. Why? Why did you have to? And there it was, the final piece. The truth she'd hidden deepest. Because if I'd told you, you would have come for me. And if you'd come, you would have seen. Seen what? Jin-woo demanded. Amara wiped her tears, straightened her spine, prepared to reveal the secret she'd protected for 12 years. I need to show you something. Not tell you. Show you. Can you meet me tonight, my apartment? Yes. Anywhere. Anytime. 7 p.m. Come alone again. I will. She wrote down her address, stood to leave. Amara? Yeah? Whatever you need to show me, whatever the truth is, it won't change how I felt about you, how I still feel. You don't know that. Yes, I do. We'll see. Tonight. She left. Jin-woo sat with the revelations, pregnant, miscarriage, alone, traumatized, hiding it all from him for 12 years. Part of him was furious. She'd made choices that weren't hers to make alone, had robbed him of the chance to support her, to grieve with her, to be there. But another part understood. She'd been young, alone, terrified, making impossible choices in an impossible situation. Still, something else lurked beneath the story, something she hadn't told him yet, something she needed to show him tonight. Jin-woo spent the afternoon in turmoil, canceled more meetings, ignored calls, just processed. A child, lost, possibilities destroyed, futures erased, all while he'd been searching for her, all while she'd been carrying this unbearable weight alone. He wanted to be angry, wanted to rage at the unfairness, at her choices, at fate's cruelty, but mostly he just felt grief. Deep, overwhelming. 12 years delayed, but no less powerful. For a child he'd never known, for a woman who'd suffered alone, for time they'd lost, for everything that could have been and never would be. At 6:45 p.m., he left for her apartment, alone, as promised, ready for whatever truth awaited. He had no idea how completely it would destroy and rebuild everything he thought he knew. Amara's apartment was modest but comfortable, nothing like Jinwoo's penthouse. Normal furniture, personal touches, photographs on walls. She let him in, offered tea. He declined. You said you needed to show me something. Yes, but first, I need to explain context about what happened after the miscarriage, after I healed physically. Okay, I was broken, emotionally, psychologically, completely shattered, grieving my mother, grieving the baby, grieving you, grieving the future I'd lost. I was hospitalized, again, not physically, mentally. I spent 3 months in a treatment facility. Jinwoo's heart broke further. You were alone through all that? I had doctors, therapists, other patients, but no family, no friends who really understood, just me and my grief. I should have been there. You couldn't have been. I made sure of that. But Jinwoo, the treatment helped, slowly. I learned to process the loss, to forgive myself, to understand that what happened wasn't my fault, and eventually I started to heal. Good, that's good. During recovery, my therapist suggested I needed purpose, something to focus on besides grief. So I started volunteering at a community center, helping kids who'd lost parents, kids going through trauma. It gave me direction. That sounds like you, turning pain into purpose. It helped, and through that work, I met someone, a social worker. She had a case she thought I could help with, a child who needed temporary placement. Emergency situation, just a few weeks while they sorted permanent arrangements. Jinwoo began to understand, to see where this was going. The child was 6 months old, a girl, mixed race. Her father was Korean, mother was Black American. Both died in a car accident. No family willing to take her. She was going into the foster system. What was her name? Maya. Amara's voice trembled. Her name was Maya, and when they placed her in my arms, something clicked, something healed. She needed me, and I needed her. You adopted her. Not immediately. It was supposed to be temporary, but weeks turned to months, months turned to a year, and I couldn't let her go. So yes, I adopted her, 11 years ago. She's almost 12 now. You have a daughter, yes, and you never told me because Maya is adopted, but she's also not. Because when I look at her, I see the child I lost. Because she's the same age my baby would have been. Because loving her healed something in me that was broken. And because what? Amara stood, walked to a bedroom, came back with a photograph, handed it to Jinwoo. He looked at it. A girl, 11 years old, beautiful, smiling, and looking exactly like him. Same eyes, same face shape, same serious expression, even while smiling, identical. That's impossible, Jinwoo whispered. I know, but look closer, at her features, at her bone structure, at everything. He did, and saw it clearly. This girl looked like she could be his biological daughter. The resemblance was uncanny. Impossible. How? I don't know. Genetics are strange. Coincidence is real. But when I first saw her, it was like looking at a ghost, the child I'd lost somehow reborn. I told myself it was just my grief brain seeing patterns, but the resemblance only got stronger as she grew. Does she know about me? She knows she's adopted, knows her biological parents died, doesn't know about you, about us, about the baby I lost. I never told her any of that. Why show me now? Because you asked for the truth, and this is it. This is why I couldn't reach out, why I disappeared. Because how do I explain to you that I adopted a girl who looks exactly like the child we lost? How do I ask you to understand that without it sounding insane? It does sound insane, I know, but I believe you. You do? Yes, because the universe is strange, and maybe this is its way of giving back what it took, not biologically, but close enough that it matters. Amara started crying again. I've wanted to tell you for so long. Then introduce me to Maya. Let me meet her. As what? How do I explain you? As your friend, as someone from your past, as whatever feels right, but please let me meet the child who looks like the one we lost. Okay, but Jinwoo, meeting her doesn't make you her father. She has a father. Me, I raised her. I'm her family. I understand. Do you? Because I won't let you disrupt her life just because she looks like your daughter. She's not your daughter. She's mine. I understand. I promise. Just please, let me meet her. Amara nodded. She gets home from school in an hour. You can stay, but this doesn't change anything between us. This doesn't mean we're back together or that you have rights or that anything is different. Except everything is different. Yes, except that. When Maya came home, Jinwoo was sitting in the living room with Amara. The girl walked in. backpack slung over one shoulder, talking animatedly about her day. Then stopped, saw the stranger. "Oh, sorry, I didn't know we had company. Maya, this is Jin Woo. He's an old friend from when I first lived in Korea." The girl studied him with intelligent eyes. Jin Woo's eyes. "You speak Korean?" she asked in perfect Korean. Jin Woo responded in kind. "I do. Your Korean is excellent. Mom taught me. We speak it at home sometimes." She switched to English. "Are you staying for dinner? If it's okay with your mom." "It's fine," Amara said, though her voice was tense. Dinner was surreal. Jinwoo watched Maya. Every gesture, every expression, every mannerism. She was brilliant, funny, kind, asked thoughtful questions, talked about school, friends, her interest in science. "I want to be a doctor," she said. "Help people, make a difference." Jinwoo smiled. "Your mother wanted to make a difference too. Still does." "Yeah, she tells me that all the time, that we're lucky if we can help even one person, that it's not about being famous or rich, just about mattering to someone." She's right. After dinner, Maya went to do homework. Amara and Jinwoo sat in uncomfortable silence. "She's incredible," Jinwoo said finally. "She is. You did an amazing job, raising her, alone. I did what I had to do. Amara, I want to be part of her life, and yours, however you'll let me." "That's complicated. I know, but I've spent 12 years living with loss, with questions, with emptiness, and now I've found you, found her, found something that feels like the family I thought I'd lost forever. I can't walk away from that. She's not our biological daughter, but she could be our daughter, in every way that matters, if you'd let me." "You don't understand what you're asking. You're Jinwoo Kang now. Powerful, dangerous. Your world is violence and territory and power. I won't bring that into her life. Then I'll leave that world." "You can't just leave. I left before. I can leave again. And what happened last time? You went back, became exactly what you swore you wouldn't be. Because I was searching for you, because I'd lost everything that mattered. Now I've found it again. Now I have a reason to be different. One meeting doesn't make you her father. I know, but it's a start. Please, give me a chance. Let me prove I can be someone worth having in your lives. I need time to think, to process, to figure out if this is even possible. How much time? I don't know, but you can't just show up and demand to be part of our family. Families are built, earned, over time, with trust. Then let me start building. Let me earn it." Amara looked at him, saw desperation, determination, love. "One dinner a week, here, with both of us. Nothing more until I'm sure this is right." "Deal. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you hurt her, if you bring your dangerous world anywhere near her, I will disappear again, and this time you'll never find us." "Understood." "I mean it, Jinwoo. She's everything to me. I won't risk her for anyone, even you. I wouldn't ask you to." But as Jinwoo left that night, he made himself a promise. He would earn his way into their lives, would prove he could be the man Amara had fallen in love with 12 years ago, would show Maya he was worthy of being in her world, and he would leave his dangerous life behind. Permanently, no matter what it cost, because for the first time in 12 years, he had something worth changing for. A second chance, a family, a future, and he wouldn't waste it. The weekly dinners became routine. Jinwoo showed up every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Sometimes he cooked, sometimes they ordered in. Always he and Maya talked about school, science, life. He never pushed, never tried to be more than a friendly presence, but slowly, connections formed. Maya liked him, looked forward to his visits. Amara watched carefully, looking for red flags, for signs of the dangerous man Jinwoo had become, finding only the gentle person she'd loved 12 years ago. "You're different with her," Amara observed one evening after Maya went to bed. "With you both. I'm who I used to be, who I should have stayed. Can you really maintain that? Keep your two worlds separate?" "I'm not keeping them separate. I'm choosing one over the other. I've started dismantling the organization, selling operations, going legitimate. That's dangerous. People don't just walk away from that life. I did before. I can do it again, this time permanently." "And your father?" "Retired. Doesn't interfere. This is my empire. I can end it how I choose." "Jinwoo, be careful. Power like yours doesn't disappear quietly. I'm being smart about it, strategic. It'll take time, but I'm committed." 2 months into the dinners, Maya asked the question, "Mom, is Jinwoo your boyfriend?" "What? No, he's just a friend." But he looks at you the way people look at each other in movies when they're in love. Maya, I'm 11, not stupid. I see things, and I Googled him. He's important, rich, powerful, and he's here every week eating takeout with us. Why? Amara sighed. We knew each other before, a long time ago. When I first lived in Korea, we were close, very close, but life got complicated and we lost touch. Now we're reconnecting. Were you in love? Yes. Are you still? Amara didn't know how to answer. It's complicated. Adults always say that when the answer is yes, but they don't want to admit it. When did you get so wise? I pay attention. So was he the one who got away? Something like that. Do you want him to be the one who comes back? That was the question, wasn't it? Did she want Jinwoo back in her life? In their lives? I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me is terrified. Of what? Of history repeating. Of getting hurt again. Of you getting hurt. I like him. He's kind. Smart. Actually listens when I talk instead of just pretending. That's rare. It is. And he makes you smile. Real smiles. Not the fake ones you do when you're pretending to be happy. I don't do that. Yes, you do. All the time. Except when he's here. Then you smile like you used to in the old photos, before you looked sad all the time. Amara's heart broke. I didn't know you noticed. I notice everything. And I want you to be happy, Mom. Really happy. Not just okay. I am happy. I have you. You have me. But you should have more. You should have someone who makes you laugh and smile and feel alive. And if that's Jinwoo, then maybe give it a chance. When did my 11-year-old become a relationship counselor? When my mom started being too scared to grab happiness when it showed up at our door every Tuesday with dumplings. Despite everything, Amara laughed. You're too smart for your own good. I get it from you. That night, after Maya slept, Amara thought about the conversation. About Jinwoo, about possibilities, about fear and hope and second chances, and made a decision. The next Tuesday after dinner, Amara asked Maya to give them privacy. Jinwoo and I need to talk. Adult stuff. Maya grinned. Finally, good luck. She disappeared into her room. Jinwoo looked nervous. Everything okay? I've been thinking about us, about 12 years ago, about now. And I realized I've been protecting myself, keeping walls up, refusing to acknowledge what's happening because I'm scared. Scared of what? Of this. Of us. Of caring about you again, and it ending the same way it did before. It won't end the same way. You don't know that. I do. Because I'm not the struggling translator anymore. I'm not the man who couldn't keep his promises. I have resources, power, stability. I can protect what matters. That's exactly what scares me. Your power came from becoming what you swore you'd never be. How do I trust that? Because I'm leaving it, all of it, for you, for Maya, for the chance to have the life I should have had 12 years ago. That's a big promise. It's the only promise that matters. Amara took a breath. I need complete honesty about everything, about your organization, your plans to leave, the dangers, everything, no more secrets. Okay, I need to know what we'd be getting into, what risks exist, what enemies you have, what leaving might trigger. Fair. Jinwoo spent the next hour explaining everything. His organization's structure, the legitimate businesses he'd built, the illegal operations he was dismantling, the people who wouldn't be happy about his exit, the precautions he was taking. There are risks, he admitted. People who'll see my leaving as weakness, opportunity. Some might make moves against me. Against us. If we're together, they'll target us. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. You can't control everything. No, but I can make it so costly to come after us that no one tries. And I'm almost there. Another 3 months. Then I'll be fully legitimate. Fully out. 3 months is a long time. I know. But I'm asking you to wait, to trust me, to give me the chance to prove I can be the man you fell in love with. You're asking me to risk Maya. That's not a small thing. I would never ask you to risk her. If you don't feel safe, I understand. I'll walk away. Stay out of your lives. But know that I love you, both of you, and I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of being part of your family. Amara looked at him, saw truth, saw determination, saw love. I loved you 12 years ago. Part of me never stopped. But love isn't enough. I need to know you're committed to us, to changing, to being safe. I am. Completely. Then we try. Carefully. We keep doing what we're doing. Weekly dinners, slowly building trust. And in 3 months, when you're out, we reevaluate. See if this is real, if it's sustainable. Deal. But Jinwoo, if anything threatens Maya, anything, I'm out. We're out. No second chances. No explanations. Just gone. I understand, and I won't let it come to that. Okay then, we try. He smiled, really smiled. For the first time in 12 years, Jinwoo Kang felt hope. Real hope. Not the desperate searching kind. The genuine belief that maybe, just maybe, he could have the life he'd lost. The woman he'd never stopped loving. The family he'd never thought he'd have. A second chance. He wouldn't waste it. The next 3 months were a test. Jinwoo systematically dismantled his empire, sold operations to trusted associates, shut down illegal ventures, moved everything into legitimate businesses. It wasn't easy. People resisted. Some tried to block him. A few made threats. But Jinwoo handled it all with the same ruthless efficiency that had built his empire. Except now, he was tearing it down. Meanwhile, his relationship with Amara deepened. They talked about the past, about the miscarriage, about grief and healing, about the 12 years they'd lost. Do you regret it? Amara asked one evening. Adopting Maya? Never. No. Going back to your father, building the empire, becoming this version of yourself. Jinwoo thought carefully. I regret that it cost me you, that I became someone you couldn't love, but I don't regret the resources it gave me, the power to change things now. If I'd stayed poor and struggling, we might have reconnected and still been stuck. Now I can offer stability, security, a future. Is that what you think I want? Money? No. I think you want safety, for Maya, for yourself, and I can provide that. Not just financially, but fundamentally. I can make sure you're protected, always. That's both comforting and concerning. The protector role can become controlling quickly. I know, I'm watching for that. Promise you'll call me out if I cross lines. I will, trust me. With Maya, Jinwoo continued building trust, helped with homework, attended her science fair, taught her chess, became a steady presence in her life. You know he's in love with you, right? Maya said to Amara one day. He told you that? Didn't have to. It's obvious, the way he looks at you, the way he lights up when you walk in the room, the way he's completely dismantling his entire life just to be with us. Pretty clear. You're okay with that? Are you kidding? He's great. He's smart and kind, and he treats you like you're amazing. Which you are. Why wouldn't I be okay with it? Because it's complicated. He and I have history. We lost a baby together. Maya's eyes widened. You what? Amara realized she'd said too much. But Maya deserved truth. Before you, a long time ago, Jinwoo and I were together. I got pregnant, but I lost the baby. It's part of why I disappeared, why we lost touch. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. It was a long time ago. Does he know about me? About you adopting me? Yes. Is that weird for him? That I'm not actually his daughter, but kind of look like I could be? Very weird for both of us, but we're working through it. Do you wish I was his daughter? No. You're exactly who you're supposed to be, and I wouldn't change anything about how you came to me. Good, because I like being yours, but if Jinwoo wants to be dad adjacent, I'm okay with that too. Amara smiled. Dad adjacent? Yeah, not my dad, but dad a bonus adult who cares. I could use more of those. I think that could be arranged. 3 months later, Jinwoo's transition was complete. He'd liquidated or legitimized everything. What remained was a collection of legal businesses, tech startups, real estate investments, consulting firms. Still wealthy, still influential, but clean, safe. He showed Amara the documentation, proof of everything he'd promised. It's done. I'm out. Completely? Completely. No more organization, no more illegal operations, no more ties to that world, just me and legitimate businesses. How does it feel? Terrifying, liberating, right? Any regrets? Only one. That I didn't do this 12 years ago. That I wasted so much time being someone you couldn't love. I never stopped loving you. I just couldn't be with who you'd become. And now? Now I see the man I fell in love with. Older, wiser, still carrying scars, but fundamentally the same. Is that enough? For you to give us a real chance? Amara took his hand. I've been thinking about that. About us. About what a future looks like. And I want to try. Really try. Not just weekly dinners, but actual relationship. Building something real together. What about Maya? She's already attached to you. Already sees you as family. We've talked about it. She's on board. Really? Really? She told me, and I quote, "If you don't officially date Jinwoo, you're an idiot, Mom." Jinwoo laughed. She's wise beyond her years. She is. Gets it from her mother. So we're doing this? Actually doing this? We're doing this, but ground rules. Name them. We take it slow, no rushing. We both have trauma. We both need time to trust this. Agreed. You don't try to financially take over my life. I have a job, independence. That matters. Understood. And you communicate about everything. No more secrets. No protecting me from information I need. Promise. Then yes, let's try. Let's see if the love we had 12 years ago can become something even better now. Jinwoo pulled her close, kissed her, for the first time in 12 years. It felt like coming home. That evening, they told Maya officially, Jinwoo and I are dating, officially. How do you feel about that? Maya grinned. Took you long enough. I was starting to think I'd have to lock you both in a closet. You're not surprised? Mom, I've been watching you two dance around each other for months. I'm relieved you finally figured it out. They ordered pizza, watched movies, acted like the family they were becoming, and for the first time in 12 years, all three felt complete. Jinwoo had found what he'd been searching for. Amara had found the love she thought she'd lost. Maya had found a bonus parent who genuinely cared. It wasn't perfect, wasn't without complications, but it was real, built on truth and trust and the willingness to try again. Two people who'd loved and lost, who'd spent 12 years apart, who'd carried grief and secrets and regret, finally giving themselves permission to heal, to hope, to love again. Because some connections never die. Some loves wait. Some families are built from broken pieces, carefully put back together. And sometimes the universe gives you a second chance, if you're brave enough to take it.